Welcome to a new Daily Top Askreddit video. Today's topic.
The President of Peace just launched another war in the Middle East. What are your thoughts? There's nothing like a good war to divert attention from heated matters. Do you mean the Epstein files, or the floundering economy on the verge of collapse from inflation and illegal tariffs? Or the existential threat from AI? How about the deregulation of the environmental protections? Maybe the rise of fascism and attacks on Americans' rights, including the right to vote? Yes. In order to get elected, Barack Obama will start a war with Iran. Trump, November 29, 2011. Barack Obama will attack Iran to get re-elected. Trump, January 17, 2012. Now that Obama's poll numbers are in tailspin, watch for him to launch a strike on Libya or Iran. He is desperate. Trump, October 9, 2012. I predict that President Obama will at some point start a war with Iran in order to save face. Trump, September 16, 2013. Remember that I predicted a long time ago that President Obama will attack Iran because of his inability to negotiate properly, not skilled. Trump, November 11, 2013. From rigging elections, to wars for profit, to underage sex trafficking, every accusation from MAGA is a confession. I am so tired of this being constantly proven correct. I think the American people are to blame for putting this absolute cockwomble in the most powerful position in the world after he had already clearly demonstrated the first time he was completely unfit. Clean up your fucking mess already. They won't, because when these wars break out, the refugees, who are rightfully fleeing the chaos, won't be knocking on doors in Washington or Tel Aviv. They will land in Europe. And here is the most twisted part: this refugee mess is the perfect fuel for local extreme right-wing parties. We are watching the return of movements literally historically born out of Nazism or Nazi collaboration, gaining power off a crisis they didn't start but are happy to use. It's a self-fulfilling cycle of instability that destroys Europe from within, while the people who lit the fire stay safe and rich across the ocean. Half of the US population can FCK themselves. That's what irritates me about the right-wingers in the UK. They have zero criticism or analysis of foreign policy. They support every war and then lose their minds when refugees start arriving. Happened with Syria, Afghanistan, Libya, etc., etc. 100%. The problem isn't Trump, it's Americans. They knew who he was, and still thought he was a better choice than a brown woman. Always been a racist-ass country since its inception, never will be a brown woman as president. Roses are red, violets are blue. Come on, blood clot. We're counting on you. The world's most eagerly anticipated obituary. I have never wished another man dead, but there are some obituaries I've read with great enjoyment. Mark Twain. I suspect that in this case there might indeed be some wishing going on. Some of you may die for my peace prize, but that's a risk I'm willing to take. Or, per the SF Chronicle, he acknowledged that there could be American casualties following Iran strikes, saying, that often happens in war. https://www.sfchronicle.com/news/world/article/witnesses-say-they-here-and-dash-explosion-in-dash-in-dash-Iran-s-219468667.php. As per Trump himself, from the first term, he knew what he signed up for. He is a disgrace to the FIFA Peace Prize. He's just after peace. He wants a piece of Venezuela, a piece of Greenland, 2 pieces of Canada. As a treat, he's big into peace. Well, Iran said they would release copies of the Trump Epstein tapes if attacked. Maybe we will finally see them. If they had them, they would have released them long ago, but then they would have no leverage. I think he meant to say, no, new wars. Quote, Donald Trump, peace president, no, more wars. The art of proper comma placement. Simpsons die. Oh. I am completely unsurprised. He said 10 days. That would be today. He also got Bibi to join in. Again, unsurprising. Lol, other way around. Bomb Iran or I'm releasing this Epstein video of you, you orange piece of shit. Quote, release the video anyway, Bibi, you gutless warlord. For fuck's sake, I just woke up. Let's call it what it is, a willingness to let countless people die just to protect a circle of wealthy elites and predators, a circle he's likely a part of. The hypocrisy is staggering. You can't spend years scapegoating Muslims for every problem in Europe, only to suddenly pivot and pretend to care about the liberation when it suits a geopolitical agenda. It's a total farce, especially while they remain best friends with the Saudi regime, the very people who poured billions into the Wahhabism that fuels extremist groups in the first place. It's just a game to protect the rich while everyone else deals with the fallout. Because when these wars create millions of refugees, they aren't walking into Washington or Tel Aviv, they're heading straight for Europe. This manufactured crisis does exactly what the elites want. It destabilizes European societies and pushes extreme right-wing parties into power, creating a cycle of chaos that only serves those at the top while the rest of us pay the price. Feel like history repeating itself. Some folks really want to see the nukes the grandparents told them about. Probably gonna be closer to my grandparents with Vietnam. I just hope there's no draft. Bear shits in the woods. What are your thoughts? That bear is living life. Anything to distract us from his pedophilia, and that of his friends. I have friends with family in Iran. He has told me for many years the regular people of Iran have been desperate for this help for a long time. War is always so terrible. No matter what. I just hope civilians are not killed in the chaos. Something that needs to happen. The regime has been terrorizing the Iranians for too long. Hopefully we can avoid another Iraq. It's wild I had to scroll so far down to see anyone giving any consideration to what the people of Iran might want for themselves. Compassionate and intelligent response. Agree 100%. This should be top comment. Jarvis, I'm low on karma. This does not surprise me. The US has always been a warmonger country. They're not very good at winning them, though, are they? I don't think the US wins by actually destroying a country. I think they win by field testing their weapons and military equipment in the event of a war that actually threatens them. It gives them a massive advantage. It's not about winning wars. It's about the military-industrial complex making money. I fucking hate the US and at least 1/3 of its people. Too stupid to realize what they had. I'm tired, boss. What a waste of government resources better spent on the people during a shutdown too. Pedo needs more distractions. Let's hope for a swift ending to the regime and good luck to the Iranian people. Think most would have mixed feelings. Nobody likes the Iranian regime, but neither are Trump and Netanyahu good faith actors. Yeah, they ain't doing this out of the goodness of their hearts, and I doubt their ability to clean up afterwards would be great. Iraq was a total disaster to clean up and the war completely destabilized the region. George Bush and Tony Blair failed to properly sort it out. I can't believe that Trump and Netanyahu would do a better job with Iran. Distraction from the Epstein revelations coming in every day. Same as always, fuck Trump and everyone who supports him. F the Iranian regime. Regime change in Iran would be a net positive for basically everyone. I don't believe Trump or Israel is doing this for the people. Yes, but also no. Think Iraq 2003, Saddam was a real piece of work, but the coalition, primarily the US, didn't really do a good job of stabilizing the region, leading to a surge in terrorism. Ultimately leading to high civilian casualties like in the Second Battle of Fallujah in 2006. So in the long run, it would likely be a negative for everyone. Iran was left in ruins and destabilized, and a waste of lives and mental stability on both sides as well. I'd rather not lose my limbs or watch my friends die in something we have no business in. 60% of the time, regime change works every time. The regime is horrible, but a forced regime change is another destabilizing factor for the Middle East. Furthermore, if he fills it with fascists, it'll be more of an under new management kind of situation. I really hope the people get their freedom back, and they finally can be free, but that seems a lot. 1955, regime change in Vietnam would be a net positive for basically everyone. 1961, regime change in Cuba would be a net positive for basically everyone. 2002, regime change in Afghanistan would be a net positive for basically everyone. 2003, regime change in Iraq would be a net positive for basically everyone. 2026, regime change in Iran would be a net positive for basically everyone. ... Second verse same as the first. You know, for brevity's sake I left out a dozen armed conflicts that did not result in a net positive for anyone. America can chill and stop throwing money down the never-ending pit that is the military-industrial complex. I want Iranian leadership to leave the fuck alone Iranian people. Wish it could be done via peaceful ways, but it seems very unlikely since they slaughter thousands without a second thought. The problem is, how do you overturn a regime and replace it with a functioning one? Nearly 100 million people are in Iran. This isn't some tiny country. My fear is in Iraq 2.0 but in steroids given the size involved and presumably even less planning. I mean TBF, the Iranians via Reza Pahlavi do have a plan called the Iran Prosperity Project for the event the Ayatollah gets toppled. It seems pretty feasible if actually enacted upon. Regime change in Iran is outright nearly impossible due to the mountainous terrain, like Afghanistan on roids. If it took them a decade to find Osama in Afghanistan and Pakistan, then it'd be worse in Iran since they surely have some hidden bunkers. Any Gen Z voters who voted for DJT over Kamala because they perceived him to be the president of peace should question if Trump and his administration are potentially not telling the truth about other things. Who knows, maybe there is hope for this generation. Will Americans even be welcome anywhere outside of their own country after this? Even among their historic allies, I think the mood has changed. Well yeah, a lot of them have nothing to do with it. I'm not going to mistreat everyday Russian or Israeli or Iranian folk because of who their country's leaders are, for example. Bro, WTF lol. You're prejudiced. I know, because I travel all the time as an American, and normal people have no problem with me. You're just a prejudiced weirdo. The ones who aren't welcome elsewhere rarely leave their backwards homes. The ones that need to be persecuted are the ones who don't have real jobs and just fly around the planet simply because they have the money to. Eat the billionaires, scorch the backwards. Only way to fix the mess the US has gotten itself into. I mean, most of them are never leaving their country, so like to the people that will should hopefully realize it. Optimistic of you to think they were welcome before that.